Okay guys, so today we're going to be doing a room tour of all the reptiles for March 2018. Quite a lot has actually happened since last time because I did leave it an extra month. I didn't do a February tour, although I have got a bit of an update to make. I have already made it in another video, but I'm going to go over it quickly at the end of this video. So if you're interested, stick around and I'll talk about that at the end. But let's get straight into the video. So, as ever, the first reptile in this reptile room tour is going to be Speckles the leopard gecko. He's a max snow leopard gecko and I have had him for over a year now, which has gone in really fast. So, Speckles isn't doing absolutely fantastic. Yesterday, he did have a bit of stuck shed, so I had to give him a bath to get that off. And for that reason, I did bother him a bit, so I'm not going to take him out. Although I did get a picture that's quite interesting the other day, so I'll just show you that now. And as you can see, that was a good example of Speckles not exposing his entire body to the light, where in theory, in the wild, predators could attack him. He's just sticking out one body part, so there's less chance of him being spotted, but he still gets the benefit of that ultraviolet light, which is an amazing adaptation that they know to do that really. But also, obviously, he's not doing too badly, but his setup is the real thing that's not doing too great. So the plants and everything are doing fine and whatever, but it is meant to be bioactive, which basically means that there are little invertebrates in this enclosure that should eat Speckles' feces when he defecates, but they just aren't anymore for some reason. They've just completely stopped. So I had to clear out quite a lot yesterday because I was waiting around to see if it'd get eaten, and it just wasn't. And also, I have been trying to get Speckles to hunt recently, but I've been having no success with that because all the crickets I'm adding in that are just scampering up that background and sitting on top of it. I did fix it so that they can't get behind it anymore, but it's just not really working. So come the summertime, I am thinking of doing a complete new setup for him in a wooden viv without the background, and perhaps focusing more on rock, because I do think that perhaps I focus too much on cork and it doesn't look quite as deserty as it could. Although in the meantime, I do have two plants. I have this one, and I do have another little aloe that I won't bother showing you. But I'm wondering whether you think that I should plant them in this enclosure, or whether I should just keep them in the pots and then plant them in a new setup in the summer. But that is about it for Speckles, so let's move on to the next reptile. So next up we do have Splat the crested gecko. I'll just pan up a bit so that you can see his whole vivarium. There you've got a good view of what his setup looks like. Now it is doing really well, this setup, much better than Speckles is. All the plants are growing quite well, the waste's being taken, and Splat the crested gecko himself is doing fantastic. I've been throwing crickets in this enclosure for him to hunt, and at first I thought that perhaps that they would just hide in the plants and that, and just end up living in there, but actually I stopped round and watched and they were being eaten really fast. He's also taken to eating food out of his food dish a bit more recently. I think over the winter he did slow down a little bit, but he is picking it right back up. So I am really happy with how Splat's doing. Now I did actually get a clip of Splat last night, so I'll just show you that now so that you can see what he looks like. And as you can tell, Splat is doing really well. Now there isn't much more to update you on apart from that, although there is something funny that did happen last week, and that was actually that Splat did bite me. Not hard or anything, it didn't even hurt, it's just like basically being touched by something a bit more firmly than usual. And I actually think the reason he bit me is because crested geckos do have quite a strong breeding instinct, and every time I try and get Splat out, I use the same box, and every time I show it to him, he always jumps straight towards the box, And I have a sort of theory that perhaps he's smelling another crested gecko on that box, and he perhaps thinks that that smell is something that he can breed with. So then when my hand isn't moving near the box, he's then trying to go for my hand, which is quite funny. And there are actually quite a few videos, I'll link one up at the top, of crested geckos actually trying to breed with their owner's hand, which is quite funny. But that is about that for Splat. So let's move on to Red the corn snake. So of course, here we have Red's vivarium, and quite a lot has changed in this since you last saw it. I think you last saw it in the June reptile room tour, and it has changed a lot since then. So you probably notice that it is much brighter than it used to be, and that's because, as well as the ultraviolet bulb, I now do have a white python LED kit, so it does look much brighter and whiter. But you may also notice that there is something different with the plants. So if we take a look at this plant here, you will see around the base that it is actually in a pot now, and that is the same for all of the plants in this vivarium. And that's because Red was just basically pushing them around, and they were pretty much all going to die if I didn't do something. So just yesterday I popped them all in pots, and he has actually succeeded, believe it or not, in within 24 hours in knocking one of the pots over. But basically the good thing is it's not having the root ball of the plants being moved around anymore, so they aren't like being snapped or broken or anything. So hopefully they will all grow in a bit better. But this is another setup that I do want to redo in the summer, or perhaps a bit later with this one, just depending on how I get on with things, because it's just not really doing its purpose very well. The population of mealworms in here is quite good, but it's just not taking down the fecal matter from Red the corn snake. So basically the system is just it's a live planted almost sterile system. Obviously it's not quite that far, but if the feces isn't being removed, that is the main point, and it just isn't. So that isn't very good, but hopefully we can do something about that in the summer. I'm not going to take Red out because I did feed him yesterday, but I did think on to get a clip of him feeding, so I'll roll that now. So now we are going to take a little bit of a detour to talk about the little update I've got to give you. And it's basically about how I am going to be taking a little break from YouTube, not permanently, just until the 17th of June, and then I'll be coming back with loads more content, just because I do have exams coming up, and with the amount I've been preparing for them, I just can't keep up either making YouTube videos or revising for exams, because it just takes up too much time. I did talk about this more in last week's video. I made a whole video on it, so I will drop up a card in the top right corner. Now you may have noticed that throughout this video there have been quite a few cards coming up with bits of information, asking questions, and that is just because I am finding out what you want me to do the most in the summer. So hopefully you'll join me then, and hopefully I will have a lot more content out. Like for example, here's the fish tank, which I've not done an update on in ages. I probably will be doing more content on this, as well as loads more on the reptiles. So if you want to stick around, then I will have a lot more out. But basically, I am just going to have to take a break. But anyway, I do hope that you did enjoy this video, and if you stick around, I'll see you on the 17th of June with another reptile room tour, and we'll kick off right where we've left off. So thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye guys.